Welcome everyone to the next phase. This is CISCRP's Thought Leadership series dedicated to elevating patient engagement across the clinical research industry. These videos bring insights, evidence-based practices, and actionable guidance to strengthen the relationship between research teams and the communities they serve. Our mission is to make clinical research clearer, more accessible, and more patient-centric. In 2023, CISCRP created the Journey to Better Health mobile exhibit. Today, we're sharing real-world case studies from our national community engagement programs, showcasing how community engagement-centered partnerships drive meaningful and lasting engagement and measurable impact. I am excited today to introduce our guests, who are both members of CISCRP's community engagement team. You'll be hearing from Justine Holleran, Manager of Community Development and Engagement, and Jace Williams, Community Engagement Coordinator.
So Journey to Better Health is CISCRP's outreach initiative that brings our educational resources about clinical research to the heart of underserved communities by way of our traveling mobile exhibit. And we like to view it kind of as a classroom or museum exhibit on wheels. So there are different stations that bring people through the journey of what clinical research is, from the very beginning of Clinical Research 101. What is clinical trial? What does it look like to participate? Why do we even have clinical research in the first place? There's sections that cover why diversity is so important within clinical research to make sure that the outcomes actually work for everybody. There's a section that highlights some of the key misjustices that have happened in the past within certain groups so that we aren't throwing that under the rug, but really highlighting that these are some of the key reasons that there is mistrust in clinical research. So it's important to amplify those stories still, but also talk about the safeguards that are now in place for participants to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself. And the main reasons that we do this, our main objectives, are to raise awareness about clinical research in general, especially among these communities that haven't been appropriately represented in the clinical research process in the past, or even provided with services. Also to increase the engagement of these same communities within the clinical research process. We hope to address some of the underlying barriers to clinical research participation, understand and maybe even change attitudes and perceptions towards clinical research, and ultimately build credibility and trust within clinical research as a whole. Some of our strategies for making Journey to Better Health impactful in the community engagement space is really working with those underserved and underrepresented communities. And that can mean different things to different groups. To us, we focus on not only racial and ethnic demographics, but socioeconomic status, gender, age, and geographic location when we're finding communities to visit with the Journey to Better Health exhibit, and really meeting people where they are. So not just going to health fairs with the exhibit, but having the opportunity to go to places of worship or schools or community centers or farmers markets. So meeting people where they're gathering in their everyday lives to really make the education accessible. And speaking of accessibility, making sure that the actual content is accessible to people. So the exhibit itself is available in English and in Spanish. There's a variety of different reading levels. It's accessible for anyone who has a physical disability. So we have a wheelchair lift to get people in and out. There are also materials available in a variety of other languages. So again, just making sure that anybody who wants to come on and learn is able to do so. We also really value working with local organizations and individuals in the areas that we're visiting to really help build that trust within the community before we even get there. So one of the key ways we do that is working with community educators. So these are folks that we identify in all of the areas that we're bringing the Journey to Better Health mobile exhibit. And these folks can be maybe a faith-based leader, maybe they work for a patient advocacy group, maybe they're in the community engagement space, or maybe they're just that one person who is really involved in their community. They kind of everywhere you go, you see this person. They're like the life of the party. It's not a party until this person shows up. And we find these folks to be our community educators, kind of an extension of the CISCRP team, to go through a quick training with us so they feel comfortable talking about clinical research within their community. And they'll come to the events with us to be that familiar face and help garner trust. So we aren't coming in as this unknown entity with a giant blue bus and people are asking, who are you and what is this? But if they notice somebody from their own community kind of on our team, it really helps break down that barrier to even come over and talk to us.
So when we go to communities, we try to partner with organizations doing healthcare, equity, community building, organizing work to try to tap into their networks. This helps us build trust within these communities. If we're at their local community center or their church, people might be more inclined to come over and come check out the exhibit. It also helps us broaden our reach. These organizations can share our events to their community. We can also share their resources at our events to help people learn about what's going on in their community already. These organizations also help us have a lasting connection in the area because they can keep us aware of events or other things that are going on that could benefit from having our information available.
Similarly to our outreach collaborators and our community educators, a key to that is the continuity. So having these connections that stay in the area that we visited once we leave so that they are a continued point of contact and we aren't just kind of diving into this community one time, sharing information and leaving and saying good luck. We always have those people who can let us know what's going on in the community and continue to educate their community with this educational material.
We've seen communities really take to this initiative in our 2025 season across 17 community events in 4 different states. We had over 2,000 visitors with over 773 completed and linked survey responses. From these surveys, 95% rated the overall experience as very good or excellent. Beyond just enjoying the initiative, we saw understanding jump from 36% of respondents having a very good understanding to 63%. A willingness to participate in clinical trials increased from 77% to 84%. Some of the communities that we've reached reflected in our survey include 71% of respondents identifying as belonging to a racial minority, 29% of respondents identifying as patients, and 50% of all respondents indicating that they have a medical condition. We also saw a diverse age range, with all age groups fairly evenly represented.
I love going out into the community and meeting people and just actually seeing that what we're doing can impact somebody positively. So just all the people that we're able to meet when we go out into these different communities, and especially working with our community educators who are local and hearing the feedback firsthand when people go through the exhibit, especially if they were maybe hesitant at first and had certain ideas about clinical research, but then they came through the exhibit with us and come out the other side and say that they really learned something, or even that they just enjoyed an interaction with a staff member. Just kind of that boots on the ground being out in the community is definitely my favorite part.
One of my favorite parts about this initiative is that we get to reach communities that aren't often sought out by similar initiatives and programs. At all of our events, there's been so many people and so many times where they've just come up to me and given very genuine thank yous, just so touched that we were there and just being present. We also get to support that important work that is already happening in these communities and get to uplift that. In a time where things can feel divisive and very insular, it's nice to see that there is still positivity happening out there and still good things going on. So we get to see the good that's going on in the community.
One of the ways that we work with local organizations is co-promoting each other's events so they can share out with their audiences where the Journey to Better Health mobile exhibit is going to be, and we can share information on their behalf as well on all of the events that we go to. We offer the opportunity for groups to give us flyers or brochures, any of their educational community resources that we can share out on their behalf. Organizations can also come to all of the events with us whenever we are in their area to have that face-to-face time with the community as well. Certain organizations can also offer health screenings if applicable. If they do things like that, we always like to have additional resources and opportunities for people to better their health along our events. We also offer sponsorship opportunities for organizations to be on the road with us all season long at all of the events that we're going to across the country. If you can take one thing away from our experience, it's that community partnerships are the foundation of community engagement initiatives. Additionally, education drives empowerment, and at CISCRP we believe in education before participation.